Tonight on 8.5-bit, we cause a mystery, uncover a mystery, and are something of a mystery?
Doodle-doo.
Welcome, friends of all designs, to episode 293 of 8.5-bit. And the games hinted at in today's intro were, of course, Overboard, The Magnificent Truffle Pigs, and for some reason, Biomutant, I guess, is kind of mysterious. I don't know. Whatever, I didn't really have a good reason to tie that one in.
But it's in there anyway.
Yeah, I always have this trouble where I think two things, and then I'm like, and the third.
Three's hard. Just do two from that one.
Tie things together. No, I've been sick for 2 weeks, and I'm just like, my brain isn't there, and my name is Paul, and here to me is James and Sam.
Hello.
Hi, James and Sam.
My toes are very clean from Dusty.
Yes, my dog is licking James's toes.
In between the toes.
I notice he has not licked my toes. I'm feeling rejected. Hello, Dusty.
Yeah.
He's trapped in the room now. Here's 2 hours. You're never getting back, Dusty. I hope you're listening about stupid video games. So good. How are you boys going?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Going pretty well.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Sums it up.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how to meld my dad's schedule and video games. So now I've started using Steam Link more because I found the best time I have for gaming is between about the hours of about 9 to about 11, because that's when Roger's being settled. So it'll just be Cheryl and I in the bedroom, like taking turns basically trying to settle him. So now what I do is I get my iPad and I load up Steam Link and I put it sideways so I can kind of lie down and kind of play it, and then just get my 360 controller. And that was working okay. I was playing some ESO last night, and it was working fine.
You can play Chicory like that. Comes out tomorrow. It's yesterday or whenever I release this episode. See, I'm probably not going to release this episode on Sunday.
It comes out.
Your Chicory.
It just comes out.
It just comes out
on a day.
I want to kind of get it out as... E3's already kind of started, but not majorly. So
The June month.
Yes, it's the month of E3. It takes a lot of stuff. A lot of things happen. Anyway, so yeah, let's get into some stuff, because also we're probably not going to be a super long one today, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, because it's late, and we're all adult men. Mostly.
On the outside.
There's a dog here who's not an adult man.
Yeah.
He's the adult man on the inside.
Now, let's I don't know. I'm gonna start talking about some video games.
Yeah?
Go for it.
Let's start with Biomutant.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
So I have played a little bit of Biomutant. James has played almost Biomutant.
Zero of
and Sam has played more Biomutant, both pre and post patch, but still not a lot.
Pre-patch I was only about an hour in.
Uh-huh.
Post is a bunch more. I'm not sure
how much is a
It's
bunch
double
more?
digits.
all right.
Well, that's good, because I wasn't sure when you said in the chat, like, because I said I've been playing a lot of different games.
Yeah.
And you said, Biomutant, I've been playing a lot. I didn't know if you were suggesting that you played none of it or a lot of it.
A lot of Biomutant, but not a lot of anything else.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. So I'll so Biomutant is a third-person action game in a somewhat open world with some RPG trappings and stuff. You're a rodent-y person, and you can evolve yourself and stuff. We've seen a bit over the years. It's made by sort of ex-Avalanche guys who do Just Cause and all that. It's their new studio Experiment 11 or 101 or something. So it's their debut. I first played it like 2 years ago at PAX.
Played it with that weird third-party controller.
Oh my god, if you're going to do a public demo, don't just go and buy the $5 controllers.
Yeah, I'm
weird.
pretty sure they just went into EB and went, what are the cheapest controllers you
We
have?
need 50 of them.
Yes, so weird.
But I remember I enjoyed it at PAX.
It was interesting.
Yes,
PAX,
it was hard to get an idea of what the overall
very
thing was
thin
going to be.
slice demo.
Yes, there was a lot of like, here's how you just get through a wall. I'm like, why would I randomly do this in the world? I'm obviously following a set path here, but you're making it sound like this is how I would naturally know how to follow something. But it was just a weird vertical slice. So Biomutant, I don't think it's unfair for me to say, has a terrible onboarding experience.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. You start the game and it's text boxes everywhere telling you how to do everything. Here's another cutscene explaining stuff you don't have a reason to care about yet. Hey, Are you ready for a flashback? Flashback? I don't even know what I'm doing in the real time yet. Why do I need to go? And that probably lasts like close to an hour.
It's a good chunk.
Yeah,
like,
and
it's
I know
a horribly big chunk.
and it turns a lot of people off.
Yeah,
I didn't hate it, but I
a
wasn't
mistake.
enjoying. Yeah, it's like I think. Look, I know I used to use this term a lot as a joke, and I'm going to do it again. In a post Breath of the Wild world, especially in games that are open and like systems driven and stuff, give the audience some credit.
Yeah.
We've played third person action games before. We'll find out how the system works when we have to engage with the system,
and that's part of the fun.
Yeah, and the better your system is, the more intuitively we'll get with it anyway. Now, they did a big patch though.
they did.
And I played it before this patch. So what does the patch change, Sam?
They've removed a bunch of those cutscenes.
Oh, yeah?
Shortened a bunch of the dialogue. The tutorials are kind of in there, but they no longer like the text boxes stuff that pop up that go, hey, do this, do this. No longer like halt the gameplay. They just exist. And they've even changed some of the locations especially in the flashback, so that you could travel less distance between objectives.
Oh, so you're not just like walk over here for
you're not just walking through an empty
nothing.
spot for a little while to do things.
It's a pretty major patch
They've
to come out
tightened it
quickly.
up pretty much. And
They tightened up the graphics in level 3.
I'm impressed that they actually changed
the
it that
first
much.
thing for the first patch to do is it's pretty big.
Pretty major.
But I mean, I guess they got a lot of feedback about it being
But also,
kind of terrible.
I feel like they should have had that feedback a while ago.
Probably.
I mean,
But
it's a big
most
change,
of the
so-
demos they've done aren't the onboarding.
Not in
They're
the
just
beginning,
The
no.
weird
I had
bits of the game.
impression that it was a troubled development.
Yeah.
I didn't really.
I mean, just from
It
the state of the
feels-
game. Like,
think-
not that I heard anything that was troubled. But
I think
more-
what it is they've tried to do a lot of things, and
It's
they've
very-
managed to do all of them most of the way.
Yeah. It's a very big, ambitious game made by like 18 people.
It's definitely an A game, not a triple A game. Like
double B?
double A, double B, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever scoring system you want to use for below triple A, I guess. But yeah, they've definitely because I played it on launch, and then I got distracted by other things, and then they patched it. I was like, you know what, I'll just start over just to see what they changed. They added like more loot in the starting area too, so you get a better sense of how the rest of the game kind of works loot wise.
It feels kind of weird that... I mean, not weird. It's unfortunate because, I mean, I was trying to get review code and didn't. We still had still had code on release date. And so everyone that reviewed it, that was using pre is definitely with this bad onboarding process.
Yeah.
And it seems like, whilst it still may not be perfect, it sounds like they changed a lot of things to improve people's first impressions. Because the general sentiment is the beginning sucks, and then as you get
as
into
soon
it...
as you get into the full chunk of the game, it becomes a full open world game.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of things going on.
So the other thing that I heard about it was you want to ignore the main story as long as possible.
Yeah.
It's a real Fallout. Well, Fallout 3 and 4.
It's got that Zelda issue in a post Breath of the Wild world, as Paul puts it, where like, but it has even more to do than Zelda does, like as far as objectives, and I think it pushes you into the main story to begin with, and you really don't want to do it.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of extra things you should be doing first.
So, what are the real highlights for you?
I would say, look, the combat's fun. It's not great, but it's fun because it's that Devil May Cry kind of combo-y
And
action
they
combat.
got a lot of
Works
interesting
well. It's a lot of
enemies,
different,
like big
enemies.
The bosses seemed fun.
A lot of different like ability options depending on what weapons you're using.
Yeah.
Like it's very robust there. It doesn't feel like it's not tight feeling. It's not polished, but it's certainly good.
It's had a once over.
Yeah.
It's not polished to a high
I would
shine.
say the biggest highlight, which is probably their big boon, is definitely the whole crafting system side of things, where you can just, I mean, you pick up materials and you also pick up pieces of weapons and armor, and you can just make whatever you want, and every single individual piece kind of changes the stats a little bit, especially on weapons. And there's a lot of things. A lot.
So what's the mutant part?
The mutant part is your special abilities, where you find stuff in the world that gives you +1 mutant point, whatever they're called, and then you can choose which abilities you want to get for however many mutant points they cost.
Okay.
And it's various things. So like the first one I got was it's like magic missiles. So like you hit the button and you just have radioactive darts coming out of you that track on enemies. You can get teleports. You can do a thing where you can summon a mushroom that counts as like a bouncy pad which can be used to get to higher areas and things like that. So there's like utility and combat based, but you can kind of choose what things you want to get.
Does it change appearance?
It doesn't.
Oh,
which is the odd one because I thought it was supposed to.
So what? When you mutate in the game, it doesn't keep changing how you look.
No.
That's
I
what
thought it was supposed to.
I thought that was
but it
literally
doesn't.
one of the major
wasn't
selling
it in
points.
the intro? It had,
But what-
it had like touching the water in the hand when all
Yeah, so
lizardy
that's just
and-
part of your storyline.
Oh.
Yeah, the fact that you have a frog hand is your storyline.
So what you're saying is it's no evolve.
No.
I was honestly expecting
What they have done is
changes to
that
your-
both of you would have seen is when you make your character, your appearance is based on your stats,
Yeah.
which I find pretty interesting.
But that doesn't change
But
after the
it
base
doesn't change
stats?
afterwards, as far as I found so far.
Yeah.
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 No, it's just you just unlock abilities.
I made a real ugly looking guy. It's like, I can see there's a lot of combinations that are obviously cute.
Yeah.
So let's just move the
There's a lot that
sliders
are very not.
Yeah, let's move them in another direction. His head's too small for his body. These colors are very ugly. Let's just chuck them on.
So
Great.
So there was a very different game in my head.
Yeah.
You know, like when you hear like someone just
Honest-
speak, and then you
honestly,
see their face, and they're like, "Oh, that's very different than
Yeah.
what I expected them
Yeah,
to look like."
it's that.
This is the game.
That's what
like,
this game
and
is.
like for me, what I was expecting was like, "Oh, I'm a biomutant. I can go get crab claws,
Yeah, nope.
or like." I can get wings. Like it just go off in crazy evolutionary directions. But that is
It
totally
doesn't
wrong.
do any of that.
That is not what the game is. Oh, I'm a bit
It's just-
sad.
You're just your thing all the time, and you have stuff you can do.
Yeah, weirdly, I didn't think that wild, but I thought halfway between the
Close,
two.
where like at least appearance would
Yeah.
change
Yeah,
based
yeah.
on your choices.
I thought, I thought it would be at least be an evolve.
Because they have like mutant powers, the bio stuff, and then they
Yeah.
also have psionic powers. That you have a different point system to get psionic powers, and that's based on this weird light dark morale system. It's a little fable like.
Do you change with your alignment?
Yeah, so
I mean,
like every now and then you get a
visually-
choice, and you either get like the dark choice or the light choice, and it gives you +1 towards light.
Yeah,
or
but do you
dark.
get a bad scar?
No,
or
it
do you
doesn't.
start-
It doesn't physically.
So it
change your
doesn't do the
appearance.
That's not
Fable
even
thing.
Fable.
No. It does have two little weird creatures that talk about it.
Yeah, I do remember just picking the bad one. It seemed more fun.
But from what I've seen, there's so far no real reason not to just do both and get points in both, so you can unlock all the powers.
So it is a Corandia 3.
Oh God, our dives are getting. Jesus.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Do we have any other thoughts about Biomutant at the moment?
Look, I took my base weapon and I
Uh-huh.
took the handle off of it,
Mm.
and I changed that handle into a literal banana, and it made it do more damage.
Oh, fun.
Okay, so the weapons could be, think of them as like the
Oh
crazy
yeah,
mutants.
the weapons you can change a
Yeah.
lot if you get the
That's
pieces
cool.
for it.
I do feel like it's in a. Like, actually, it's probably not in a bad position. We'll see
It's
after
it's
next
perfectly
week. with
acceptable,
E3.
and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and there aren't really a lot of like third-person exploration action games out at the moment.
It's scratching the Zelda age. It's not
Yeah.
like it's obviously not as Nintendo polished as Breath of the Wild was, as far as like everything.
But for what's
it's good.
basically a big indie, it's still pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
Yeah.
Does it have any of sort of like the physics kind of interactions that you get with Breath of the Wild?
Not hugely. Actually, no, not really at all. There's stuff in Wild that like you can interact with. Like, there's one big combat area near the start that has giant like rockets, and one of the enemies
Yeah.
is carrying one. You can shoot it, and he flies around and explodes.
And there's-
stuff like that. So there is stuff you can interact with, but it's not quite to Breath of the Wild.
And there's
level.
pretty good vehicles, isn't there?
Yeah, I have unlocked 2 mounts. They're all classified as mounts. One is an actual animal for land mounting, and one is a sea-based one, which feels very much like the vehicle in Jak and Daxter.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm
Which
just
is
looking
kinda
forward
cool.
to the hand that
And
you can walk around
there's
in.
a mech. You unlock a mech at some point, but it's only used in like a certain chunk of the map
Yeah.
that was in the demo.
Yeah, I remember. I had a duck one.
Those are all customizable as well. So there's like random crates in the world where you can. It's random loot that you use to like change the appearance of your stuff.
Okay.
So they've got a lot going on about like customizing look and like armor, weapons, vehicles. All of it can be like changed appearance wise and stats wise, but your character doesn't. So everything else is the mutant. Really.
The real mutant was the friends we made along the way. That's what they always say. Cool. Okay, I got inspired halfway through that with something James said about how something should be something, and then you find out it's not. So I'm going to talk about my angry game.
Oh, I've had some of this already.
The Magnificent Truffle Pigs.
It's a good title.
Review by
Amazing
Paul
title.
Broadhurst. Okay, so let's start off with this amazing title. Great title. Fantastic. It really pulls you in. Okay, next up. Here's the concept. This is a walking simulator. That's right. We're going on board here. You are a metal detectorist. And you're out.
Official term?
You're out. I think detectorist as well. At least there's the show that I watch called The Detectorists.
Cool.
And you're in an English countryside. And so it's a walking simulator, walking around slowly, beep, beep, beeping on the ground. And you're basically out there because a friend from your childhood, there's a farm that's about to be knocked down, and you found like an earring that was super valuable when they were kids, and it was like in the news, and she's like, let's just go out one more time and see if we can find it now. We're one last little boring adventure in the countryside together. I'm like, perfect. This game is what a setup. It's like I have an excuse to walk very slowly around an area, talking to somebody, and just doing a mundane task that like keeps me occupied, but ultimately doesn't matter because that's not just what the activity is. That's also the point of the game. Great. This is fantastic. We're going to have a perfect thing. Okay, so there's a few things that they fucked up severely in this game, and now
it's a hard genre to fuck up too.
No, I disagree.
Yeah.
I think I really like some walking simulators, but I think there's some big caveats. A bit
hard to fuck up if you've made a reason for all the things a walking simulator is.
Yes. So, the designer of this is the designer of Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, which is another game with an amazing name and a poor execution as far as I was concerned. And that was Chinese Room, which doesn't really exist anymore. So they split off, they made this, and what they did before they started designing this, they played a game called Firewatch. And they said, that.
Which is a good that to do.
It's a good that to do. Okay, here's a few things. So, you've gone out, now you've just been roped in by your friend that wants to relive her childhood. You've just been pulled along. So you're not really the main character. You're the sounding board for the main character. They still don't have a budget, which means she's just off in the next field. So, a game that is just about a small country town, let's go and do a catch-up thing. You never see each other, and twice a day, once for lunch and once at the end of the day, you guys get together to have lunch. And they don't even have like portraits of them talking. They just get in the car and the camera just like pointlessly like rotates and chops randomly between shots of the car while you listen to some voices. I'm like, okay. It doesn't feel that personal. Okay. So she of course talks to you via a walkie-talkie. Yeah. What can you not do whilst using the walkie-talkie?
Look for metal stuff.
Anything else. In fact, most of the time when you pick up the walkie-talkies after you've found something where you've, for some reason, put your metal detector on the ground. So even though you can still walk, you can't walk somewhere else because you would then have to walk back and pick up your metal detector.
Oh, no.
So this is how the game mostly plays. You walk around, and I found it easy. Instead of holding up my metal detector the whole time, it's faster because you can slow down when you've got it pulled out. So I pull it out. If there's nothing on the scanner, I quickly hit the button again, run forward 10 meters, hit it again, because that's enough range to do it anyway. So I'm going bloop, 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 bloop. Not relaxing. Me just min-maxing a game that I shouldn't be trying to min-max. I found a screw. And I'm not joking with that's the level of things you dig up. Now, so
it's realistic at least.
It goes beep, beep, beep. Oh, and the thing is, I want it mundane. In concept. So I go beep, beep, beep. There's something here. And the game goes, oh, you found something. Same prompt every time. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's what the game is. It's like push the button to dig. So you push the button for shovel. There's no shoveling or anything. It just digs one hole. Then you push the button for trowel. You got to push it 3 times to dig up the object. Then you pick up the object. And it's like, oh, rotate the object to look at it. Now take a photo, and it brings up a camera, and you can still rotate the like you could have just gone straight to the camera. There's no reason to have the first bit. Take the photo, and then you SMS the photo to the other character, who might respond with the SMS. Okay, that's cute. And then 90% of the time, we'll then initiate a phone call about said object. Oh, you found a screw. Oh, yes, they've got lots of screws out here in the countryside. Oh, I remember the first time I found a screw. It was, and the whole time. You can't do anything else.
But it's a slow-moving game where you should be slowly walking to the
next
They forgot the walking part.
You don't actually need to go anywhere because you're normally just going in fields sort of back and forth. But there is absolutely no and the thing is...
There's no reason to.
I'm 100% sure that the objects I'm finding in the game aren't pre-placed there. I'm sure there's just a timer that just goes off, goes, you found it's
Yeah,
time to give you
yeah,
another
yeah.
object. Like,
It's a good way to test
I-
that.
yeah, I could. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bunch of predestined and they change, like, they just give it to you in the order, because sometimes
Yeah.
the things come in like plot order. So I'm like, well, obviously they didn't know I was going to walk this way, so it might be the right
Are they-
position but different order.
Are they doing stuff to push you in different directions?
No, it's just each day you just get a different field. It's like, walk around this field. That's all it is.
Okay.
And so all of these things, like the mundane, the conversations and everything, is what it should be. But for me, at least, they fucked up the execution so bad in that I should just be mundanely walking around, having I should be talking the whole time. Now, here's another thing they took from Firewatch. When they send a response, like, it's like, oh, so how are you doing out there? It says, oh, you got a response. You can pick either like, oh, I'm doing all right, or go fuck yourself. There's like a little timer, and in fact, even if it's just like a normal, if it's just like a response, like, because in Firewatch often it's just like you can choose to either respond or not. There's a little timer. It'll go do 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 do, and if it goes down, you don't say anything. In this, it goes do 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 do, and it just responds. It's
You're
like
always responding.
the timer does nothing. It's giving you an illusion, like, it's not even giving you an illusion, and it's just like you saw it in Firewatch and you put it in here and didn't understand what it was there for. Like, because I'm not someone that's like, oh, you have to put your own mark on this. You have to be able to do this. I'm fine for stories that are just straight and linear and you're telling me a good story and everything. But why take the trappings of a game that is about your expression and just putting them in this game? I'm like, what? And the story is good. The performances are pretty solid. And it's a mundane, small story. That's all I wanted it to be, and it pulls it off quite well. But I'm just like, all of these problems, I mean, you can't fix them now. There's too much game built around it. But the fact you didn't identify these as core things to do in the first place, it's like, okay, I get you can't have the other character walking around. You do not have the budget. But I don't see why you don't have a budget to have sound effects whilst walking with a metal detector out. It's like, it just effectively, it might not even change the timing of the game, especially if the fines are based on a timer, as I suspect they might be. But it does give you something to do. You're not just standing in a field waiting for someone to finish talking about a screw. And that's weird. It's like, I just, because I was excited about the fantasy, as mundane as it is, and they didn't give me my mundane fantasy. It's like, it's so easy to back game design. I'm just imagining, like, okay, so when you dig up the thing, you do the one shovel up, and instead of just pushing a button 3 times, what if it's like a WarioWare game where you just have to brush the dust off with your mouse or something, like something that you're uncovering the object and you're getting some sort of personal. It's like, oh, it's a bottle cap. Oh, it's an old bottle cap. I think it's from a beer. And maybe you're talking to the person as you're saying that, as you're uncovering and discovering parts of it. It's like, yeah, it's not supposed to be exciting. And part of the story is about how things aren't that exciting. Of course it is. That's the whole point. Weirdly, it's about uncovering things from the past. Who would have thought that would be a major theme in this game about metal detectoring? Oh, God. I fucking hate...
So can we erase this game and then make a game with the same title where you actually play a truffle pig?
Yeah.
Looking for truffles. Well, but instead of finding truffles, you start uncovering a murder.
Pretty much. Let's do that. That could be... I honestly, yeah, there's so many, even when you just jokingly starting that, because I started going like, what if we did the same concept but in our own way? Like, oh no, it could be truffle pigs. Here you go out and you're having a thing in there. Like, I'm really
you're just a pig, so it's all the other characters.
I can't remember that
humans.
game.
What was the Wii game where you're playing the insects, but it was like some other story?
Dangerous Creatures?
Dangerous Creatures, yeah.
Where, and so you were a spider and a scorpion.
Were you a snake?
No, Snake was the bad guy. And you were following the story of Dennis Hopper and these fried potatoes, Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
It was like amazing cast, and you're just looking up and seeing these 2 humanoid figures that are out burying a body in the desert, or whatever, and you were down there fighting snakes and shit.
Do the aftermath of that, but with a pig.
Oh, so good. Yeah, I like mundane things. I'm really this is less mundane. This is, but there's I can't remember the name of the game coming out. I'm sure it'll be showed at E3 again. It's the one where you run a pig farm and the mafia, like they use you for body disposal, and you're just like, one out. So the whole game is just, I think you play like a hitman that's come to like try to convince them to not do this because you're going to have to kill. So you're just like spending the day doing chores around the farm, having this relationship. Like I like the mundane, even though that one is still more high concepts. Like, it's like it's the mundane conversations with. Yeah, I kind of like that. But yeah, Truffle Pigs really let me down. Okay. Let's talk about some random news. And this news is so random, I haven't really come back and fixed it up over the last 3 weeks that it's been. So let's just mention stuff as we go. Dying Light 2, we saw some stuff again. It's coming out this year, apparently. And I'm going to believe them because last time they said it was indefinitely delayed. So if they put a date back on it, then they must be somewhat confident. Yeah. I am so confused by Dying Light 2 because they're so obsessed with telling me a good story. And I'm I just want to
grapple. Just wants to get a grappling hook.
Yeah,
parkour through zombies.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they can win me over, but I feel like everything they've shown me is like, yep, that's a bunch of tropes of this genre that I guess are fine, but I'm not excited.
It's not what we're here for.
This is no Disco Elysium. This is, we've got a faction. We've got a faction of military guys and a faction of like violent criminals and a faction of rebellion types that just want to live freely. It's like, wow. How'd you come up with these amazing new ideas? And there's a conflict of what they want. Oh no, who would have thought it? But those zombies, they've changed. They've got more magical powers over time. Okay, can I still jump through a window?
Can I join the zombie faction?
That would be more interesting. Yeah. It's like start bringing Instagram. I'm sure it's entirely solid, but I'm not excited by the concept. It's like, it's every piece of zombie fiction ever written. Thank you very much. But yeah, I mean, it looks fine. Speaking of things that look fine and what we expect, Far Cry 6 was shown off.
Yeah, they made a big deal about there's going to be
a lot of things,
a big gameplay reveal, and it was exactly
what
I expected.
Why reveal gameplay of the sixth game in a series?
Did you expect that it would have a horse?
No.
There you go. You can ride horses now.
What about a crocodile and a onesie?
Well, see, because the animal pets have started becoming a staple
that's the thing.
thing.
They started off in Primal, so they've been there for a while. Wasn't expecting a horse, so there's that.
And were you expecting a small disabled dog?
Yes, they'd already shown that, I thought.
Chico, was it Chico or Chorizo? I can't remember.
I think it's Chorizo. I'm pretty sure they'd already shown that little dog.
I don't think so. Everyone was pretty excited, including me. I think I would remember a cute dog.
You are a good authority on dogs. Also, big one, holstering.
Yeah.
You can now holster your weapons.
Yeah, I always find it weird.
Paul did point out, on the Discord, right? You pointed out the weirdness.
Yeah, anything that isn't just Doom. How fucking weird is it in any game to walk around standardly with a gun held in front of you?
Because the least thing that happens in some games is if you point at a friendly, you slightly tilt the gun away.
Yeah. It's just awkward to run. I've got to run now. You put it down, even if you're just naturally walking around.
I'm looking forward to it. I really enjoy Far Cry games. I just do not expect them to do anything more than the last one.
Hot news. This one's political.
But it though? Ubisoft doesn't do political things. They said so.
They said this time it's political.
This time they are being political.
Yeah, this time it's political.
So chances of it actually not being political.
I mean, it was not. See, the problem is that now they have all the trappings of Far Cry on there. So it's like, we're going to make a political game, and it's going to be very deep. It's going to be like fascism, bad, freedom, good. But also, you do have a pet crocodile and a cute little chorizo dog with wheelies.
Yeah.
And you can walk around with a portable scram rocket system on your back. Because that's another new thing. You can have all these special backpacks that give you special abilities. I'm sure it's like an alt. Also, I believe you can play the whole game in third person.
Okay, that's new.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah.
There's new things. So you can look at all your cool gear.
I don't think... Did they mention anything about the multiplayer stuff?
They mentioned that there is no map editor in this one.
Okay.
So that's as much as I paid attention to. Notice there's a difference between what they said and what I paid attention to. I'm sure it's fine. I might play it.
I like Far Cry games. I enjoy them. I just do not get that excited about them. This one, I guess I can at least practice my Spanish a bit.
Yeah,
it's got that one.
True.
Yeah.
I was going to buy Necromunda this week.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was having a day where I felt sad. And then I'm like, this will be a humble bundle within the year.
Yeah, and it has not been reviewing particularly well.
It's pretty well. Almost everyone who's played it has loved it.
Okay. Because
The biggest issues are some technical issues from what I hear.
Oh, well, then by the time it gets to Humble, it'll be all fixed.
Yeah, it's like batshit insane. It's like, but like all your mobility shit everywhere to extreme degrees. It's like, do you want a double jump and a dash and a wall run and a teleport and there's all? It's like, okay. And do you want a dog that you can teleport in at any time and will tear the shit out of people and disappear? To the extent that someone was talking about, they wore down a boss's shields, and sort of without a shield, anything in this game is like 2 pops and they're dead. So they wore down the boss and they ran around the corner. And then their dog, without even being in line of sight of the player, just killed the boss. Just cool. We've got cyber mastiffs in it. Yeah, it's like, it just sounds like it's batshit insane.
Yeah.
You take jobs from bloody gene stealers or whatever they are. Makes no sense, but whatever. Who cares? Blow some shit up. Fun. Okay. Sonic had its big 35th anniversary revelation. And what things we got to see? What was your favourite thing at the Sonic 35th Revelation special?
I don't even really like Sonic.
Are you excited for the concert? The free concert that's coming out on some 24th sounds like a date. I pulled it out of the air. Maybe it's right.
Not especially.
It'll be good. Will they play the Michael Jackson tracks?
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah. They're bangers.
They?
They're bangers.
Look, Sonic music is like the number one thing about Sonic.
The Sonic music's pretty good.
It's fantastic.
So, there's Sonic Colors Ultimate coming out.
Yeah.
So that's an ultimate version of that one, which is apparently fine. I didn't play it. I won't play it now either. Who knows? Maybe it'll be in a Humble Bundle one day.
Maybe you'll be sad.
Are we getting a new Sonic RPG?
No. We are getting a Sonic Origins, which is funny because I think there's also Sonic Origin already exists. It's around the other way. So that's the first 5 Sonic games. So Sonic 1, 2, 3, Knuckles, Sonic CD. I think that's the ones. That's next year, whatever. And they announced the new game from Team Sonic, which is a Sonic game with no more details about it at this point. But they're doing lots of things for this 35th anniversary, James. Lots of events online, lots of fun things, including they've released the jewelry line.
Okay.
Because that's what we all wanted.
Do you want a diamond-encrusted Sonic head? As a pendant on a necklace.
The problem is, I know people who do.
Yeah, well, it's if you really want to embrace hip hop culture. Yeah. So you can get a Sonic head, a Knuckles head, a Tails head, or of course a Shadow.
I was thinking Shadow's in there somewhere.
Because if you want the most hip hop of characters, it's Shadow. I mean, a big, but can't get big in everything.
I did load up what's one of the Sonic games on Switch the other day.
The good one or the bad one?
The good one.
Mania.
Yeah, I think it was Mania.
Yeah, Mania is a good game.
And I still, as many times I've tried to play a Sonic game, and I struggle to understand.
It's just such a big disconnect between going fast and not being able to go fast.
But I think Mania is the one that beat that the best. So if you can't get it with Mania,
yeah, I don't understand Sonic because I never can. I feel like I should be going fast. This is the idea of the game.
No, that's like
the trick.
Yeah,
they've told you should go fast.
You can go quite fast. Sonic is about paths. So Sonic levels are complex pathways. So it's almost about learning a run.
Because
think about it you're doing your Tony Hawk run, but you're doing a Sonic level, and you've learnt it, and you're looking for tricks and secrets and different paths to take.
Because I don't want to poo-poo Sonic. I'm not saying it's bad. I do.
I poo-poo it all the time.
I have always struggled to understand what it is. Even like the way the camera Sonic tends to be centered. I don't know if with what's it, the Switch one? What did you say it was?
Mania. If that's the one you play. That's the one made by fans, not by Sonic.
Yeah, because I loaded up like Sonic 1, and it's like you're going fast, but you're also like center frame, which means that you can't see that much that's coming. I don't know. The whole thing has always confused me. But that kind of makes more sense. Though I still feel like I'm moving from left to right.
Yes, you generally are, but yeah, they're pretty complex. The maps design, especially in Mania, I think they sell it a bit more. Learning that, I give it another shot with that perspective in mind. Once you're good at it, you can go fast. You're not supposed to be going fast when you first do it because it's about observing and finding paths and experimenting. So yeah, it's a bit of experiment. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so lots of Sonic stuff. There's a Sonic 30th or 35th website. You can go and look at other stuff. I mean, if you really care about Sonic, I don't that much.
Didn't get our Sonic 99 though.
No.
Sonic 35, I guess it would be.
Yeah. But you just do the killer whale thing from Sonic Adventure, except everyone's a whale trying to kill Sonic. Okay, I have an update from Borderlands 3, which I found funny. Randy, good old Randy Pitchford, posted this. Good news or bad news first? Good news. We didn't wait for a response, I know this. An update for Borderlands 3 has been prepared for release that includes full crossplay support across all platforms. Yay. Bad news. For certification, we've been required by the publisher to remove crossplay support for PlayStation consoles. Lots of interesting things about this statement. One, making it publicly as a big fuck you to somebody. So, during the Apple Epic case, there came out news that, at least initially, with crossplay support on Sony, there was a contract written up, which was basically, if our player percentage doesn't match income from transactions, you owe us money. There's a little formula in there, so it had some leeway. It wasn't exact, but they had to be like.
But the general idea is like, if they've got 20% of players, they should have 20% of income.
Yes, exactly. So maybe that, we don't know. We don't know if that's across the board deal or what. But interesting here that the words are for certification. So the publisher has required them to not do it. They actually don't drop Sony there at all.
No.
They're fighting with their publisher, which is still 2K at that point, isn't it? Yeah, because they're now part of. Are they an Embracer now? Who bought them?
Why wouldn't 2K want it?
Because they might have to get some money over to Sony. Yeah, but also I would be interested to see stat wise, because I find it strange to imagine that just naturally those things wouldn't line up anyway. Like, because I think Fortnite was originally what we were talking about. If
you'd think if, like, statistically speaking, X% of people are going to buy extra things, then that generally
would just be across the board.
Like, that percentage would be covered across all platforms.
Yeah. Like, if 40% of people play Fortnite on PS4, which is apparently it is the lead platform, I wouldn't imagine out of those 40%, most of them then ran off to another platform to buy skins.
Yeah, I would expect that. And I don't think there'd be that much difference. Like, Xbox players would be more spending.
That's what you're saying, basically. You're saying, hey, one platform spends more than another, but I don't see why that would exist.
Yeah. I mean, it might. Maybe there's just like some culture thing that we don't get. But I just kind of imagine it's a problem that they're solving that doesn't really need to be solved. It's like I had a thing at work. They very, very quickly needed a booking system where they wanted people to be able to book into these sessions, but there was a maximum limit of people that go in the sessions, and we were just using like a survey to do it. I'm like, look, this doesn't have that functionality, but we can order by the people that did it, so we can just say the first 20 people or whatever get in. But also, honestly, it's probably not even going to be a problem with the number of people we're talking about. Let's just wait and see if it's even a problem. Yeah. I bet it's not. Oh no, one session's got 21 people. I bet we can stretch it. It's I think it just naturally kind of works out.
You don't always have to solve problems before they exist.
Yeah. I'm always telling people, because people will often request meetings to talk about potential problems. I'm like, but is it a real problem? Because how much effort should we put into things that might happen without any expectation of that they will happen?
I found there's a lot of value in having faith in your ability to handle a problem. So rather than imagining a million problems, just go, well, there's a good chance, because you can look back historically, how have problems in the past be dealt with, and generally it
happens and then you put the fire
Did
out.
I deal with it? Yes, no. Was it expected? Yes, no. And generally, no, it was not expected because it's something else that happened. And yes, you handled it just fine. And so with that, you just you can generally deal with it.
Honestly, those conversations are for the pub. It's like, let's sit around and have a think tank about what would happen if this exploded. It's like, well, I guess we'd have to, and then we go off with that. But we don't really need to put those provisions into place unless we have some expectation of explosion. Yeah. It's like, let's move on. Anyway, so that was just funny. So there was a Twitter thing that I saw that I liked. I hadn't seen it before. So there is a thing called Pitch Your Game. It's hashtag Pitch Your Game. And it's actually an award. I did not know this. It's been running basically since last year. It might have been like a year and a half away it's been going. And basically they just do twice a year, they put out a call, Pitch Your Game, and people on Twitter will post up a game they're working on or just released, and they'll give it a very, very brief pitch, and then they catalog all those and they award one. And shit, it was a good way to find a bunch of really
some
impressive
cool
little
stuff in
products in
there.
it. Yeah. There was what was the big one that was going? Oh, it was this snapshot game, which I'd seen similar concepts before, but never in 3D.
I'd seen it on I think the dev posted it on the Indie Games Reddit a few times. I've seen.
Yeah. So basically, it was you taking a picture of geometry and being able to apply it elsewhere in the world, and you could do that dynamically. You could go and take a picture and then put it somewhere. You could rotate it, and it's like a little bit of magic.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be very interested to see if they can put in much of a game
got
around
the whole
it.
like size difference thing that like Subliminal tried to do.
Yeah. Or
and all
Scale,
that. Scale.
which is still not out, and they have been taking pre-orders for like a decade now. I'm gonna say a thing that I never say about these things, and I always pull up things. I feel Scale's a scam. At this point, for them still to have that button to buy it, and they haven't dropped an update in like 3 years, and that guy's off on another job, I think having that button might be unethical and technically a scam.
The question you really have to ask is it on purpose? Or is he just forgotten the money is flowing in from somewhere?
Yeah. It's going to an account that he's actually totally forgotten about. It's such all above board.
Some PayPal account somewhere's got like all his money in it.
I mean, I forget about it. Sometimes I find stuff. Maybe it's just totally... He forgot to make the rest of the game, and he forgot that he was selling it. Maybe it's that.
I think that Tail Drift Steam early access is still up.
Oh,
and I can't actually pull it because like I don't have access to the account.
Oh no!
But I do check it. Like you will still get a copy of Tail Drift if you buy
the early access.
The early access version. It will not ever come out.
It's technically correct.
It is. I mean, you're getting something.
Yeah.
But every now and then I do at least I can log in and check. And no, there have been no sales for it. I think there needs to be a bit of early access like
graveyard
purge or something.
I'm going to
like,
gift it to every one of my Steam lists.
Oh, early access games should expire.
Yeah. Like if you haven't got something out in like 5 years, maybe
delete it.
Maybe it should just be deleted.
Like
Force it to
even
go to
just to the
full.
extent that if there isn't like a regular update within a certain amount of time, it delists it from being on sale.
And it can even just be something
do
of like
what Patreon does.
Like send an email, like you just click a link to renew it or something like
Yeah,
that.
it doesn't have anything major. Because the thing is like in your case, you would kind of take
I'd
it off.
let it go.
Except you actually don't have access. So if it naturally expired because
I'd be
it's
fine with that.
not being maintained, then okay, a cool leak happened. Microsoft Store accidentally leaked a game called 2 Point Campus, which is a follow-up to 2 Point Hospital, and
which is from the theme hospital team. Isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm
some
pretty
of
sure.
them.
Like, it's actually got some bullfrog pedigree in there.
Yeah. So 2 Point Hospital was very successful commercially, and I believe it's quite well liked. May not be as deep as some people want because they want a full-blown simulation for some reason.
But that's not what theme games are.
But that's not the theme one. And this is a framing that I have literally never seen, which is running a university.
Yeah, you'd think someone would have done this by now.
Yeah, and it looks
Seems
kooky
like
as hell.
an easy target.
It's got that kookiness from 2 Point Hospital.
Yeah, the big hamburger university and stuff. It looks really good, and there's enough detail in there that and also why would it appear on the Microsoft Store if it wasn't legit? So if this was a fake, it's an amazing fake because they put a lot of work into it. But yeah, I imagine that one coming up. The most important news, of course, I've forgotten about here. This news is a little bit old, so I'm discovering it. Oh, the next one was Sonic Jewelry. I've already spoken about that. So after 30 years or so now, we finally have a full edit of Super Mario Bros. Oh yeah.
Where'd they find it?
That was they collated it from various VHS sources, so I'm not sure where they managed to get this original tape from. It is, if you've watched it all, it has like the time code on it still, so it is from like screeners, like when they were working on it. It's so they've edited that back into the movie. It's all VHS quality, so it's not going to be amazing. And as I say, literally when he cut to those scenes, there's a big old time code at the bottom.
That's fine.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like we're cutting in 20 minutes of extra footage to help flesh out the insanity that is.
I enjoy the Mario
Bros movies. Well, I mean, it has very little to do with Mario. But they weren't interested in doing that. They wanted to make Max Headroom the movie.
It's such a product of its time. Yeah. Like it could not happen again. Like they could not. If it was a Mario movie now, it could not be.
No.
It'd be like
a weird dystopian.
Yeah. Like I finally got around to watching that Sonic movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, how
What a movie.
boringly fine it was. I was like, oh, this isn't objectionable at all. Fuck.
Yeah,
It was annoyingly okay.
yeah.
Like, why can't you please bring back the mutant cut? That's like, I need
I wonder if someone will do that eventually. Like,
well,
because the footage has to be somewhere.
some of it. Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't finished, but
Just
there's
re-render
certainly
it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just push that
'Cause I-
re-render button.
I watched another reassembled cut the other day. I watched the Dune fan
Oh,
redux
yeah.
Is that of Lynch's?
of Lynch's Doom. Yeah, Dune. Dune.
I'd like a mashup of Dune and Dune.
It was
Dune.
all right.
Yeah, I said Dune and Doom. That's okay. My brain is bad.
Because it had similar things that you were talking about with the Mario, where it's like clearly this was like some extra cut footage they kind of spliced in, and they'd actually like re-recorded some of the scenes. Like it would just be like a hand or something like that. You could tell, they're just going to refilmed it or record. Like they dubbed over some of the dialogue for like the navigator, like just little bits and pieces. But as a whole,
Probably
I thought it was I felt it was better
in the Mario one, because I haven't watched the whole thing, but like probably the sound is where they've done like the most work to try and make it just cut in there. Like it doesn't just like suddenly cut to other. Bloody Iggy and Spike do a rap.
Oh,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Amazing.
It is pretty good. We saw new Dragon Quest games. So Dragon Quest 2 or 3 HD remake. And that looks so nice. I think I said in the thing, it's like, give it 10, 15 years, and my brain is going to overwrite SNES era RPGs to look like this cool 3D pixel art style that we do now. Because, it looks so nice.
I can't remember how good those games looked. Like, Paul, you're thinking of the remasters.
Yeah. So I go back and go, I guess the original sprites were fine, but no, I'm pretty sure they look like this. They're very good. And they also announced the next mainline one, which doesn't have a lot of detail yet, but apparently is going to be more mature, whatever that means. We've got a bunch of new Warhammer stuff.
There's
which
always
I can
new Warhammer stuff.
remember nothing of. I think I linked to one or two of the games.
There are always
so many skulls.
Yeah.
So many skulls. I can't remember. Let's get the big one. E3 had fucked up again. After so many years of like, oh shit, we accidentally put everyone's private details up on the website. What they did this year was formalize it. So now you can log in and say, what are the details of this person registered? And it gives you their contact details. Now, you have to also be on the list yourself.
So someone built a UI for it.
Yeah,
so
pretty
it's
much.
just a spreadsheet.
Yeah, and whilst like part of how the ESA does is like selling that access to the media and everything is part of the business. What it's not supposed to be is an open database that you can just fucking search and dox people.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people on those databases and they're not all cleared through anything. There's just like a lot of YouTube, like influencer level people and everything these days, because that's what the market is. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be there. They should be. That's literally how the business works now.
Yeah, but they maybe don't want their stuff going out.
Yeah, that, especially
contact info.
because someone was saying like, why is their home address in there? I'm like, because that's their business.
Yeah.
They work. They don't have like a lot of even mainstream
office.
journalists these days don't have offices.
You can't can't obfuscate it with a PO box or anything. It's got to be your place of work.
Yeah. So they fucked it up again. Amazing. So many times. Okay, we had God of War little drop, which was to say the game's not coming out this year after all.
Big surprise.
Which was the thing that was shocking to me was the people that were surprised. Who really thought it was coming out this year?
Everyone who wants it, I think.
I want it.
Everyone outside of like our level of having all the games
It's true.
and knowing how the industry works.
Yeah, it seemed unreasonable that it would come out this year with what they'd said so far. I mean, they could have done a hot drop, but it seemed unlikely, especially with Horizon coming out this year. But yeah, so it's not coming out till next year. Fine. But they also dropped, which has had some mixed reactions, that it's not a PS5 game. It's a PS5 and PS4 game, which disappointed me.
Sure is nice to use all that fancy hardware.
Yeah.
It also disappointed a bunch of dickheads. So I don't want to align myself with them, but also I do feel... I feel like they've just put themselves in a situation where they cannot do the things that I was kind of hoping they might be able to exploit because of the PS5 hardware. Now, maybe that wasn't in the game design to begin with. Maybe they weren't planning around that. Maybe they're just planning a sequel.
The potential's gone now.
Yeah, that used the technology of the last game in a similar way and just had some faster loading and everything. It took a little bit faster to bloody get through the world tree or whatever. Okay, great. But the things that I was kind of hoping for, the fact that there are all these realms and everything, I kind of wanted a bit of that Ratchet and Clanky, hey, let's mix these things together and sort of freeform move it. Let's give me some Titanfall 2 in this thing.
There'll be combat between the two.
This has been a slow burn generational release. Like, we haven't really seen this kind of like backwards compatibility to this degree from launch.
I mean, there's quite often we get cross-generational stuff at launch, but it feels like it's been dragged
going on
out
a
much
long
longer.
time now.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much that has to do with just things taking a long time to make, or even like the rollout of the hardware. Maybe just like it's not enough PS5s there. That
Even with the shortage of PS5s, at least from the numbers, it's still selling faster than the PS4. So if it was ever on the cards of being a PS5 exclusive, then what numbers were they expecting?
Yeah.
It's
and
like
if it's not coming out until next year.
Yeah. I mean, yes, you get a bigger player base, but also you don't have to. Not everything needs to be sold on day one. It can sell over a few years itself. Yeah. So a little bit disappointed because I just wanted to see them exploit the hardware.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll still be prettier and it'll load faster, but yeah, just I wanted some gameplay affecting elements in there, which now it's just not going to happen. But
I'm sure it'll be good.
The bare minimum is that as long as it has haptics,
yeah,
then it'll be fucking fantastic.
it'll feel real good throwing that.
It'll be
throwing
real
that
good
axe.
throwing that axe.
I mean, I guess that they also showed off more Horizon Zero Dawn, which
Oh, that made a lot of people very upset too.
why is that?
Because there's a very large amount of silly people on the internet.
She wasn't hot enough.
Yeah,
That's right.
What?
Who's saying that Aloy looks too masculine now, and apparently that's a bad thing to some people.
I mean, she looks like a woman that doesn't wear makeup.
Yeah,
And then
basically.
someone, a good artist made this thing where they made like the beauty
pretty-
star
the
version
like
of it.
wedding day version
like
of
the
Aloy.
very smooth skin makeup, like big smile, just like, and then
So
but they made it as a joke, mocking the people.
Oh, and then
but then that image was taken by those people and posted seriously.
It makes me sad that's the hill that so
Yeah.
many people choose to die on.
It's such an
Like
odd
that's the
hill.
thing that it's like this is important in their lives. Like I don't know, that hadn't even entered.
the thing is, like, when you're
my
playing a
head
game
as
like that, how often do you see the face anyway? Like
I mean, in Horizon,
Quite a
there
lot,
are a lot of cutscenes
for like dialogue,
But
and
also-
cutscenes, but for most of the time, you're looking at the cool dinosaurs.
But also, she's not a Quasimodo. She's still a very attractive woman. She just lives in
It's a post-apocalyptic,
a post-apocalyptic,
techno-dino world.
yeah, prehistoric future. She just doesn't go to the fucking salon. Like, I mean, let's just be somewhat realistic. She's allowed to have skin blemishes and sometimes doesn't smile, but often does. It's like, what are we about?
Very,
Anyway.
very strange.
We also have started a little bit of E3 stuff. We had the first, probably the first real thing was the first Guerrilla Collective Day, and that had a bunch of games. Probably the only one that I really want to personally highlight was El Paso Elsewhere, which was my first boomer shooter, Max Payne style. I'm like, yeah, why haven't we done this one yet? Here we go, third person, bullet time, shooting werewolves. Fuck, where have you been all my life, baby? Anything else that anyone else remembers or cares about from
I
there?
don't remember much. No.
Oh, that was the other one. They also announced Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, which fucking infuriates me because I don't know if you're aware, but that man is dead.
yeah.
Oh, you mean like as in like a Tom Clancy's kind of like using it in that context?
Yeah. Here's a title for you, Vertigo. Just.
But you're going to get more sales with
There's no clout.
with
Where's the
Alfred
clout?
Hitchcock.
You need that Hitchcock clout.
Vertigo is not exactly the best movie to make a game out of in the first place, because I believe it's
Maybe
kind of
that's
just
why
like
then.
Yeah,
They're
well,
like, look, if you have a problem with this, bring Alfred.
I want
at
my
least from the trailer
Alfred's
they seem to
fault.
mix like a lot of things together from his
I
movies.
want my Rear Window game.
Oh, I think yeah. Oh, that's kind of I do.
Like legitimately, that could be a pretty cool game.
I think there's been a
Why
few
don't
things
you
touched
make
on it.
then?
Like
Remember
Come
that's
on, James. You're the game dev.
I'm trying to make 2 games right now.
like, remember that's like my dream game's a little bit like that, which was the football stadium terrorist attack one.
No, pitch it again.
Don't you remember this? Oh, okay. So here's my pitch. I don't know. So basically, it is a game where you are you are a security guard in the security room at a football stadium, and think of it like a bloody Batman Bane coming in.
Yeah.
Terrorists take over the football stadium, and you are just in a security room, and you have access to all the cameras and a walkie-talkie.
Ah,
So
okay.
you just have to... Your job is to watch and also scan footage to find clues to communicate to people and send instructions to people. It's like that Experiment 111
Yeah,
game that I really like, but taken up to a
So
sort of degree.
Do we get like a John McClane in there somewhere that you're guiding?
Yeah. You don't get to be John McClane,
Yeah,
but you
you're
get to
guiding.
work with
Yeah.
potentially other John McClanes, because maybe they can die. You just find someone else. Hey, here we
Just
go.
random members of the public.
Yeah. That's my old... I don't know why I like that setting. I don't even like football. But anyway, okay, so the one we cleared up with last night, we finally had our first real new hardware reveal, which is we finally got some more details on the Playdate.
True next gen.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. So the Playdate was supposed to come out last year. It did not.
COVID.
So it has been delayed to this year, and in that process, the Playdate, if you do not remember, is a small handheld device, somewhat like a Game Boy. It's got a large 1-bit black and white screen. It's also got a crank on the side, and that a D-pad and an A and B button, and they've left it at that. We're like, we don't want any more complicated than this. You also don't buy games on it. It comes with a season of games released over 12 weeks. Each week, it releases another game onto your system automatically, and it comes down and you can play it. What they've done because of the delay is they've managed to double that from 12 games to 24 games.
Which, I really love this idea of like water cooler games.
Yeah.
We'll be able to do the show.
Talk about this week's
Guarantees
game.
us 2 to 4 games to talk about every time we do the show.
Hopefully we can get one.
Yeah.
I really like the idea. I think it's a cute way to do it.
And then they'll do the second season after that, and then we'll see if there's anything else.
Yeah.
But it's also open development.
Well, yeah, they've got like an online editor, you can use your web browser, and it's
That
got
looks
like
real cool.
Yeah, it's got like the scripting and like the sprite editor and like the level builder, all
Music.
just everything there in one thing. So
Yeah.
I reckon we'll see some cool
Now,
stuff
look,
out of
this
that.
is a device for pretentious indie people, but we fall under that category.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, I mean, as a developer, and this is one of the
I'm
reasons
super excited for it.
I'm kind of sad mobile is where mobile is now. I love constraints.
Yeah.
And like this thing is just like so heavily constrained that you're gonna get really creative shit.
Oh, yeah. And having that one analog input, it's like, it's just one. And it's not a stick, it's a crank.
Yeah.
So,
Crank clockwise or anti-clockwise?
So they've only shown off a couple. The original game that they keep is this robot game where you forward and backwards time with the crank. Another one is basically surfing from California games, and you do the rotation of the surfboard with the crank. That's fun. And then what they announced was that Lucas Pope of Obra Dinn and Papers, Please fame, his next game is for the Playdate. It'll be in Season 2, hopefully. And I can't remember what it's called. It's got a funky name. But basically...
It's midnight... after midnight on Mars.
Yeah.
Or Mars after midnight.
Basically, you are a bouncer for a monster club. Because when it first started, she started showing footage of the prototype, I didn't realize what they were looking at. It's like, there's a little panel in the middle, and you push up, down, left, and right on the D-pad, and the camera just sort of shifts a little bit. Like, what are we doing? And then he turns the crank up, and it opens up the panel, and you're looking out the door of like a club, and tonight is Cyclops night, and you're looking at the monster at the front of the club, and you going up and down, you're physically you moving your body to look at the client outside the door to check that they match. So, you a Cyclops? No? You got some more eyes down there. Slam the door down on their face. Like,
What a
it's-
fantastic idea.
it looks beautiful. It's simple. It's fun. I don't think it's going to quite give the bad feels of Papers, Please. Just like, you denied a monster from going to a club. I don't have to feel too sad about this. It's like, that's cute.
It's cool. And it is a really cool way to use that crank too, I think.
Yeah, it's just like, it makes things tactile and it's just different. And it's not... I found it so funny when this got onto like more mainstream sites, and they were like, this is never going to compete. I'm like,
I'm pretty sure they're not trying to compete with anything.
Yeah, this isn't supposed to compete with the Switch or the Xbox. This is a very different thing. It comes with a cool dock, which has a speaker in it. Which is stop laughing, we're going to go. It's like sort of it sits there. It looks like a kind of like an old school alarm clock. It's all bright yellow. It's cool. It sticks to the top.
I like that it just magnets onto it too.
Yeah, it's like, and then it charges for that. But then after they're like, oh yes, it's a Bluetooth speaker, so you get better sound and it charges. But my favorite feature is these holes on the top are a pen holder, and because we've got a pen holder, you get a pen. I'm like,
Sorry.
why are we
It is
excited
adorable.
about
It is an adorable
100%
project.
buying one.
Oh god, it's so it's $179 US, which is like I've bought Teenage Engineering products. That's the people that are making the hardware before. That seems totally reasonable with their stuff. You know, it's a niche product.
Yeah.
They're not mass manufacturing this thing. I mean, they are, but they're not. We're not talking millions of units. I think it's going to be awesome.
From what they were talking about, the way they're going to do the orders, it sounds more like they're manufacturing on demand.
Yeah,
almost like they're going to be manufacturing an amount.
Yeah,
but
so
they're not locking pre-orders.
Yeah, so they've said that if you get in early, you'll
it's just
probably get it sooner.
fulfilled in order.
Yeah,
but you'll still get it.
You'll still be able to. Yeah, there won't be a shortage. It'll just be you'll order it, which probably, given the kind of project it is, where they don't need like 1 million at launch. That'd be a bad idea.
It's like doing crowdfunding without crowdfunding it.
Yeah. So Playdate, very excited for that. Look it up. Okay, so that's most of the things that I've counted as news. I've probably forgotten a bunch of stuff because I didn't. But oh well.
One that you reminded me of, which isn't really news, just an interesting note.
I'm cool with notes.
Is the survey that Nintendo sent out. And there was one very specific question on the survey
about a certain,
far too specific, and it was, I can't remember the exact wording, but I got it, and it was basically, would you be okay with paying $50 for a WarioWare game on the Switch? Like, why are you asking me this, Nintendo? Why not just tell me there's one? And then I'll buy it.
Speaking of WarioWare, did you check out that WarioWare game I sent you?
The
horror-based one on itch. Yeah, it's like, saw this arm off. Oh no! It's very funny. Anyway, let's talk about some other games. Let's talk about a game that I love. Okay, so Inkle, makers of 80 Days, Heaven's Vault, Pendragon, and a few. So basically, they are made for text-based narrative games on the whole.
They got a really nifty little engine, like language engine thing. Which I've been dying to use in a game one day because you can like integrate it into Unity.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty neat.
And the weird thing is they've used that sort of scripting back end to make quite different kinds of games. So what they did here was because they're working on like some big projects at the moment. So I don't know how they fit this in, but they got a team of people and said, go and make an Agatha Christie style murder mystery. And it's on a boat, and there's been a murder, but in a twist, you as the murderer. And it starts with the intro of you and your husband on the side of the boat. It's like, I told my husband there were dolphins splashing over the side. He bent over to look. I grabbed him by the belt and pushed him in. And just starts with this big like fan violins going. And instantly I'm like, I'm excited. I don't think I've been so hooked by an intro before, and it's only took 10 seconds to do it. It's okay, here we go. Okay, so I get up. I woke it up the next morning in bed. Okay. Guy comes to the door. It's like, oh, good morning, man. How are you? It's like, oh, yes, come in. It's like, oh, where's your husband? It's like, I don't know where he is. Next option. Smash him over the head. Kill this guy immediately. It's like, oh no, kick his body under the bed, and I'm like, oh no, his head's caught. So it's like you smashing the head. Like, it's like he's kind of disguised, but there's a lot of blood on the room.
Is this on? Is this Switch?
This is on everything.
It's
on
mobile as well.
I saw it on the eShop the other day, and I nearly got it, and now I'm going to. I think.
Yeah. So basically, most of the time it's like 3 options in a room or whatever. So you're just about to come into dock. So it's the morning, and by 3 p.m. you'll be in dock. And it does sort of like your old Cruise for a Corpse, which is my go-to, which no one else knows. So I'll say The Last Express, where everything's on a pattern of clockwork. Everyone on this boat is going to go have a routine. They're going to go and be in certain rooms at certain times that you can interrupt or eavesdrop or have your own influence on. So basically, you've got this time of that much time to go and disguise your murder.
Can you rewind time and stuff? Like,
you can rewind a scene.
Okay.
But you can't like hold back in there.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of like clever shit. So you get to the end of the day, especially your first day, it's going to be like, her husband's dead, and she lied to everyone with some very obvious lies throughout the day, and there's blood everywhere, and all of these clues. And you're like, oh. So you go to Sing Sing. You're like, when do I get out? It's never, bitch. Oh. And then it's just like, waking up in your bed again the next day. Playthrough probably takes 10 to 15 minutes if you're like reading everything. So here's one of the things the game does. Because this is a game about, making choices and trying scenes differently and like investigating different paths. What if, for instance, you just want to do a bunch of the same stuff and try something else later in the day, you can hold down fast forward, and it does all your last choices.
Okay.
So
That's nice.
Good way to handle that.
yeah. And you can like speed up all the animations and everything, so you can just zoom straight through. You can get a lot of these playthroughs down to a couple of minutes if you want. In fact, you can end this game super fast because there's two options. One, you could just start the game, go straight to the bell, call it, and say, someone's overboard, and then do the case right away. Or you can just throw yourself overboard and kill yourself immediately. That's a very quick playthrough. What I enjoy is it gives you sort of, when you finish the day, it'll then give you tasks. Like, hey, could I do this? Like things to hint you to drive you with something else to try. It's like, how could I blame this person for the murder? Okay, get in there. And so at first it's like, don't get caught. Okay, so you can kind of quite easily sort of prove that your husband committed suicide instead. So you don't get caught. But suicide doesn't pay life insurance. So can I prove it's going to make it's not me and still get the life insurance? And then afterwards that someone... Well, actually, I won't even say what the next complication is. But it adds another complication to it. So to get like the good ending, you have to keep reiterating with more things you find out and steps along the way. And these playthroughs are short and there's lots of things. And you can just start doing things like, at the moment, I'm just challenging myself to try and kill everybody on the boat. It's like, I can poison them. I can smother them in bed. I can do... I was like, but how... When do I kill the old Indian? It's like, there's no like, oh no, you were just a poor abused woman or something. It's like, no. You just didn't like your husband and would rather have the money.
Yeah.
Opportunist.
Yeah, you're just a shithead. It's great. And I don't know how long I've actually played it in real time, but it is like I really enjoy Inkle's games, and I'm still making my way through Heaven's Vault, partly because it's a full novel. Like I need time to get into it, and a lot of my sessions are quite short. But this is, you can play through a whole story in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Now it does mean the character, like you're not going to go there for any emotional depth or like insight into the human experience or anything. No. It's a fun Agatha Christie thing. I love them to make a bunch of games about this short. In fact, just keep ripping off Agatha Christie. Next one's on a train. It's like, go for it. But it has so much energy and just fun to it. And, I like time loops and small spaces to explore. And that's exactly what this is. I've run into a couple of small bugs where it's things like, you're saying I can jab that object, but I have that object. But considering the sort of the intricacies of the amount of different paths you could take in it, those things are pretty easily forgivable. Super impressive. I think it's $16 on Switch at least, which is where I'm playing it currently. But I think it's on pretty much everything. Yeah.
Normally it's a bit cheaper on phone.
Yeah, normally. But yeah, Overboard is just... It's just such a well-delivered package. And in the opposite of the Truffle Pig signature, where it's like, it just lands everything it's trying to do with it didn't need to get too fancy with it. It's just like, no, it's just text, pictures.
$10 on mobile.
$10 on mobiles. Yeah, it's a real tight little package. And the intro makes me laugh every time. And there's a few different, I found every once in a while, because normally it just starts you in bed. Every once in a while, it'll rewind back to the very beginning, and the dialogue when she kills him is different.
Oh, yeah, that's cute.
Nothing that changes the story. Just like, and so I pushed him over the edge. Ah! Off we go, Fly to the Bumblebee or something like that. Can't quite remember what the song is. But yeah, really cool game. Okay, what else are we... Sam... I don't know how much you've played, but I noticed on your thing
played a small amount.
You have Weaving Tides on
there,
which I did not realize was out.
Yeah, it came out, so I'm playing it on Switch.
I didn't know the console version was out too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it came out a week and a half ago.
How did I miss this? My favorite game.
I only found out because one of the streamers I follow was super excited about it.
Yeah.
So she was streaming it like half an hour before it came out.
Yeah.
Like to play it as soon as it unlocked, basically.
How are you finding it?
I'm finding it interesting. It's got some jankiness, but the concept and the kind of the visuals have kept me pushing through that jankiness. Because it's just such a beautiful idea. That
is disappointing here, because I think I played it, at least over a year ago. They had it on a Steam festival. And that was my impression. I'm like, oh, this is a bit janky.
Yeah, it's like,
but if they could smooth it out,
the premise of like the weaving mechanic isn't quite. it doesn't feel natural.
So you're on a rug, right?
They're like little dragon creatures, where their tails are the weaves of fabric.
Yeah, like ribbons at the back.
They've got an actual name. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, you're riding these dragon creatures, and there's a few different ones that I guess you kind of get as you play through with different visuals. I don't know if they're different abilities or anything. And it has like a Hollow Knight pin system that are little woven badges to give you different bonuses or things like that. So there's cool stuff going on, but the core mechanic being the kind of weaving above or below the world to do things is so cool, and I don't think they've quite taken it to what it could be. And it does feel janky. Like, there's enemies in there, and to defeat enemies you have to weave over them.
Yeah.
But in order to weave over them, you first have to dip down and immediately come back up, because that attaches your weave to the world. And it just,
you gotta put like a
I feel like,
stitch in.
why can't I just fly over and then weave downwards, and it would auto completes. Like, that's the kind of thing I want it to do. But you kind of have to kick it off, and then
the feel's not quite there. Yeah.
Or like being able to just dip down and weave underneath the enemy and come back up. That doesn't work, but I feel like it should. There's just a few little things that are like, they're kind of breaking me away from enjoying it too much. But it is very nice, and the world itself they've done a really good job visually. Like, it's got that kind of, like Yoshi's Woolen World and stuff like that, where everything is made of woven fabric. And
it's very
sewing.
Zelda-y in its like dungeon design and everything, at least from what I recall.
Yeah, it's really like, they've done a really good job on it. I think it's unique.
Yeah.
Nice.
I certainly don't have too many
unique weaving games.
Yeah, not too many weaving isometric action games out there. Action RPGs. Yeah,
not a lot of them.
Not a lot. No.
But yeah, it's pretty fun.
James, you've been playing with some toys.
Oh, yeah. So, I've been... I actually don't know if I'd put it together since we last did the record.
I don't think you have.
Yeah, so I've been building a little retro FPGA machine called the Mister. I have a 3D printed top, thanks to Sam. That looks... so the Mister is a hardware emulator. So normally the way your kind of your emulation works for SNES and whatever, it's like it's all kind of software. So it's like it's kind of simulating the
it's code pretending to be
it's code pretending to be a machine. What makes the Mister so magic, because I have no idea how it works, is that rather than your computer pretending to be hardware, like some bizarre transformer, it will reconfigure itself to be that hardware with all the same timings and things like that. So it's become popular for like archiving particularly old arcade machines, where it's like it's built as on a physical board. Like it's all about creating like this authentic experience of like what the actual hardware was. So in terms of power, this thing basically I've got it running up to, and one of the reasons I want to get it is because it'll turn to a little 486. And I'd say power wise it's probably around, I don't know, around a 90 megahertz thing. Like I can run Magic Carpet on it, and or Rise of the Triad or Doom or something like that. All run fine. You can run Windows 3.1 on it. Like it runs things. But basically, like it's this huge enthusiast community that have gone and like, all right, well, what's all this old computer hardware that is almost impossible to get now? And it could be things like going back to like an original Pong machine, or it could just be like some old Amstrad or a Commodore 64 or whatever, like just that kind of era of computing. And you can just hit a button and it just spins one up. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, that's exactly what it does. And then there's sort of this layer on top of it of like this open source kind of like hardware that other people... So someone's figured out the designs for the hardware, and then other people have manufactured it and just clip it all together. And you can get like your kind of VGA out if you want to get like a component out to get really low latency. You can do that through like a VGA port. It's got like a big USB hub underneath that you can actually plug in all this stuff. I found it works really well with the arcade sticks that Paul got for my wedding a couple of years back. Yeah, just plugged it in.
Gift keeps them giving.
Yeah, it just works. It's got like all the niceties of like save states and things like that, depending on the core. So even like I loaded it up the Game Boy emulator, and it just has like a fast forward button in there for getting through stuff. Yeah, a really neat little project. It's just kind of cool that it's like, I feel like spinning up. Yeah, whatever old hardware.
I find it
really
interesting
matter.
because it's like so many people nowadays, they'll go and build a retro emulation machine using, a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino setup and stuff like that. And it feels like this is the much better route to take now that it's a solved thing.
Yeah. I mean, they're still good
to get that kind of authenticity.
Yeah, I think part of the fun for me has been the building. That's sort of it's been fun to order the components and try to find the best price, and then the main part, which is the FPGA. It's quite expensive, but I found the cheapest one I could get online, and then that came in from the US. And
so what sort of prices are we talking?
So to build the whole thing is probably maybe around the 400 mark.
Okay, so we're not.
Yeah, the board itself is a couple hundred, and then there's still the other bits and pieces. They kind of add up after a while. But yeah, probably around maybe 350, 400 mark. I haven't actually had a look at the final price, but it wasn't $800 or anything like that. And
it's not like buying a video card or something.
Yeah, and compared to the idea of if I wanted to have all these old hardware, well, I've just got one thing that does it. That's that big for people watching the video. It's pretty small, and yeah, it's just neat. It's been fun. It's been fun messing around with it. It's kind of like that I can just go 486 please, and it just kind of turns on. Okay, it's kind of neat. The reckon power wise, they might be able to squeeze a PlayStation 1 out of it. That's sort of and that's but I don't know. We'll see how that project goes.
I feel kind of so many of the actual consoles. Yes, emulation is better if you're doing an FPGA base, but it's it's pretty good without. It's actually running those older PCs, the arcade stuff.
Well, that's the main thing.
Your old Commodores and some stuff like that, which really is.
That's the main draw is if you want that really old hardware that you just if you like the idea of having a bunch of old computers in your house, but you would like them to be a tiny brick, then it is good for that. And with the ability to just plug in a modern controller, you plug in a Bluetooth adapter to it, and then I connect my PlayStation 4 controller to that, and there's an abstraction layer between that and the games, so I can just use the PS4 controller, even to the point of they've mapped the touchpad to a mouse. So it's it's a lot of it's a very active project. It's been fun. I'm enjoying it.
Fun. Hey, was there anything else on there, James?
There's another little game I've been playing. Let's look at the title because I can't quite remember. Sagrada, which has come up as an ad from us playing Root. I think it's one of their publishers' games, and it's a little dice game that is technically competitive, but I'd like to think it is competitive in the fact that you're just sitting around people who are trying to achieve the same thing, rather than you're really kind of messing with other people. So it's basic idea is it's a dice game.
It's a race, not a war.
Well, you do kind of impact other people, but it's you're not really kind of planning. You might glance and go, oh, that's that person's board. They're probably going to want this die. But that's about as far as you're going to go. But the basic idea is it's a kind of, you've got a grid in front of you where you can place dice. Each die has a different color. And you take turns drafting die. So you might play with 4 or 5 people, and this is just on phone with AI. You technically could play with people, but I don't actually think it matters that much, because, like I said, it's not you're not interacting with people that much. And so you draft it. So you might roll 6 die. You then will have a grid where there'll be certain rules, and it's actually different kind of configurations you get for different rules and different difficulties. So the basic idea is that you have a grid where you can either be restricted by a certain tile, maybe a certain number, or a certain color. So it might be of these 16 tiles, one of them might be you can be blue only, and this one can be 5 only. And the other rule is that adjacently you can't have the same color or the same number, and that's the core of it. And so then you're basically taking turns to kind of put together this. I draft a die, you draft a die, Sam drafts a die, then Sam drafts a die, you draft a die, I draft a die. Then it moves to the next person. And kind of so it goes back and forth. Where I think it's kind of interesting is that each time you play the game, there's different bonus objectives. So it might be, okay, for this game, you want to get as many columns of unique numbers and as many rows of unique colors. Or you might want to have the most blue. and then each other player also gets a secret one. So this one might be, you also want the most yellow. So you don't know everything that people are aiming for. What it means is that when you're putting the board together, you have these constraints that are constantly changing. So it'd be like, for this game, I need to get one color of every row and one color of every column. But if you make the wrong move, you'll basically screw it up. And so it's kind of like, I like that there's different kind of planning you have to do. There's enough going on that you kind of focus on your own game.
There's no one core strategy to it.
No, it's and I don't know, but it's also kind of social. If you were playing, I could see it'd be good for if you're having some beers, because you're not really kind of being too strategic. You tend to be thinking about your board and going, okay, if I can move, you can get abilities.
Sounds like it might have that kind of same zen-ness as Mahjong does.
Maybe, yeah.
To me, that's what it's sounding like.
I kind of like the idea of you're playing with other people, but only just. And so it's because there's another game I have that I like called Railroad Inc. This is actually the physical game, and Railroad Inc. It's another dice game, but in that game you're actually almost was it mini metro style? You're trying to put together a railway network, and the options are the rolled dice. And then you sort of basically try to build your little rail network, and then there's scoring at the end and someone wins. But you're not interacting in any way. It's just you have the same shared dice pool, but that's it. Where this one, I kind of there's you actually are influencing someone a little bit. I don't know, I actually wouldn't mind. I think I don't want to play it online. I think that'd be kind of pointless. You might as well, there's so little interaction from the other people and it's so fast. It's you might as well have AI effectively randomly pulling dice out of the pool. So then it becomes a risk of I know it's going to be my turn again on this pool, in this current draft, and this I can at least put a value on. This one is more important than this one, and kind of make a call on this one might be gone by the time it gets back to me. But in person, I can see that being more fun. It's mobile.
I can see it being a very good game on an actual tabletop with a few people.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice because at the end you actually have made this pretty. Thing because the boards themselves will have different patterns. This one, because there's different difficulties for each of the boards. It might be this is a 4-star difficulty, this is 2, and you can kind of pick which difficulty you want. And this might have a nice pretty pattern on the end, but you might have just screwed it up. And so it's you've almost got this really pretty pattern, but I've messed up the blue one. Yeah,
idiot.
It's a fun little game.
Why did you do that, James?
I've been a bit like Root. I've been maybe I could pick this one up. This is a pretty...
I looked at getting Root today, actually.
Is it very expensive?
It is.
Yeah, I thought it would
especially if you want to get the extra stuff.
My problem with Root is still I don't feel like I
feel like I would skip rules so many times. Because
the digital version keeps me honest.
Yeah.
It's
even with the digital one, I know it's doing all the things for me, and I still feel like I'm missing things.
Yeah. I'm why did I get 4 cards then? I don't know.
Well, what caused this?
I'm glad
of the game
I'm glad the game knew, because I would not have said, give me 4 cards now.
Because I feel with Root, we get just as much out of it just playing it, but all sitting in the one room. We don't have to have the ball. We can still all play in the same space.
Yeah, let's play digitally, but
all together.
I'm 100%. Maybe because one thing we haven't mentioned is that E3 is literally happening probably when this is out. We might have an E3 night on Monday or something. We can play some Root while we watch Microsoft or something.
You do keep asking us to come around for a Root. So.
Finally people will accept. I'll get mine.
There's so on that topic there's another expansion that I'm assuming will come as DLC at some point, which adds 2 more factions and 2 more maps. It's a mountain map with mined passageways and a lake map with a ferry. And the 2 new factions are these tiny little corvids.
Wait, there's 2 new factions.
I haven't even played the lizard
tiny little corvids and moles, I think they are.
God damn it.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
And then the physical version you can buy big hardboard maps instead of using the one that comes with the game. You can get extra tiles. There's a pack you can get that's got 7 different Vanguard meeples. There's a lot of stuff for Root physically.
Yeah, we need to kick off another game because Paul has been accidentally
Paul's left.
Yeah, I don't know how I got kicked out.
Did you miss the 3-day timer?
I mean, I opened it pretty regularly, so I can't see how I did, but maybe. I mean, I was pretty sick.
You're going to win anyway.
Yeah, you're winning.
Yay.
The AI's going to kick our ass.
So tonight on E3, which is definitely before I release this episode because I'm not quickly editing it before. So at midnight, we'll get the Battlefield reveal.
Perfect. That's the one thing we've all been waiting for.
Exactly. On Friday, we'll have the Summer Game Fest kickoff. Saturdays, when it really kicks in, though, we've got Netflix Geeked Week, whatever that is, Koch Primetime Gaming Stream, IGN Expo, and Gearbox Interactive. But Sunday.
Sunday.
Is it Sunday? Sometimes I need to check my dates with this, but I have been putting them in their actual time zones. So Sunday we'll have Guerrilla Collective Day 2, followed by Wholesome Games.
Oh, look, yeah. I really feel I need to redeem myself on Wholesome Games because
you're a real shithead.
I was.
You need to watch it and like every single game they show you.
Now that me hating on it isn't just a thing that I was doing because now there's too many other people hating on it that are kind of dickheads.
Yeah.
My dickheadry is being associated with their dickheadry.
Yourself.
And I don't want to be associated with that dickheadry. I want to have my own dickheadry.
I believe in you, James. You can be the dickhead that you want to be. So that's also... This is Australian times, by the way. Sunday should also bring us Ubisoft Forward and Devolver Digital. Their next installment.
I just realised what I should really be doing come this Sunday at 1 a.m.
Sunday.
I was just like... I'll just get Roger and keep him up, or like bounce him to keep him asleep, and Cheryl can actually sleep for a while.
Oh, we can. Suddenly, someone can chat with me.
She probably appreciate it. Like, sweetie, I'm going to be up from the hours of 1 till 5.
Hop on voice chat.
I'll just take Roger, and you go sleep.
What's kind of weird now that I look at the E3, so I'm going to watch this. I'm going to love all this. Is that it's not till Monday our time that we get Xbox. There is no Sony. And Nintendo, of course, does its late thing where it's coming in on Wednesday.
And Bethesda's part of the Xbox stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, and then all the other stuff is like your future game show and stuff like that. All these like weird side things that were never really, the big three don't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Ubisoft there, we've got Square Enix and a few other things, but it's like your Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo doesn't happen bam, bam, bam anymore.
No.
It's like Sony's
Microsoft just gets the stage.
Yeah, pretty much. It's theirs to lose. And last year, they proved they can still lose it in that situation. But God, I feel like I said this last year. They must have things to show.
Well, they got Bethesda now. Show some Starfield. They got to have some Starfield they can show.
I don't care about Starfield.
Yeah, but
when you click on a character, they're going to center them on the screen. And they're just going to blur.
I know you don't care about Starfield, but it's something.
Starfield's going to start. You're going to wake up on a little shuttle, and a guy across from you is like, "Oh, it's you! Finally awake, are we?" It brought you out of stasis.
It starts in Skyrim, and you get knocked out, and you wake up in Starfield.
Oh, and you can import your character.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, even though I'm sure they're going to show Starfield, they still might not.
I got to think they're going to.
The thing is, right, the world has had a year and a half of just nothing. But people have still been working on things.
Did you notice this week that Xbox is losing one of its only exclusives? So the Medium, which was like the exclusive that they had left, is now coming to PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of surprising also because I'm pretty sure Xbox has bought Blooper.
Yeah.
But I guess this deal was made before they bought them or whatever. We were like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm always happy when more people play things. I don't ever care if it's moved. But I'm like, it is just funny that technically Microsoft basically doesn't have... Oh, I guess it still has some things that are exclusive, just not published by Microsoft.
Maybe
they'll show us what changes they've made to how Halo looks.
And they'll be talking about this is all the stuff that's going to come to Game Pass. Because they just want you to subscribe to Game Pass anyway.
That's probably what it is. Just a big list of Game
and
Pass games.
I'm like literally... what's the... Backbone or whatever I just was excited for and downloaded just before. I'm never not being on Game Pass. Microsoft have me. They don't need to make games. They have me. Yesterday, someone was like, "Oh man, anyone want to play Second Extinction? It's $35 on Steam." I'm like, "It's also on Game Pass, and yes, I'll play it with you." It's like, yeah, do it. Like game, how's
they don't need to make games. They just need to give them to me.
Yeah, just give them to me. It'd be good. Now, if only Chicory came out on it. Which I keep name dropping. I contacted the publisher and begged them for a key. Not because I don't want to buy it. I will buy it. But because I'm running a Z Games episode tomorrow and it's its release date.
Oh, and you want to be able to.
I want to review it on release date. I'm like, please. They never wrote back to me.
No.
I'm like, you bastards. I'll pay you.
I am pretty keen for that little one. I was pretty sold on that demo.
Chicory is like the Wonder Team indie game thing. It's the main dev is the guy that did Wonder Song, which was a beautiful, wonderful game. Then you've got people from Night of the Woods, Celeste, and Uncharted Goose Game pretty much takes up your... It's like, that's kind of quite the team. And the demo was amazing. So it's out on the 10th, which is tomorrow in our case. Probably yesterday or the day before when this is released. And who knows when you're listening to it. Maybe in the year 2027 for some reason. Our children...
Nostalgia purposes.
What's going to happen if your children listen to old podcasts? Does it mean they're losers?
They're just interested in the history of their parents.
They just want to find out what their
They
dads
just want to
were
know
like
why
before,
their dads are like the way they are.
Yeah.
before the great wiping out of the bearded white man.
They're going to go back to some of our early 8.5-bit
I've
stuff.
always been solid.
And
You've been the one that's problematic.
yeah, but I was problematic before things were known as problematic.
No, you
So
weren't,
that's the
James. You
problem.
just didn't know. You were.
Like, at least I came round, right?
Yeah. You were fine. I mean, it's really only one incident where you
Where I said there was two genders.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
How could you?
Yeah.
I think we've moved on quickly from that.
Yeah, good.
We've had worse people on the show that have said worse things than that, James.
Oh, yes, we had. Yes, we had.
We interviewed Uwe Boll,
Yeah.
which is a wonderful interview. I loved him. He's not correct. That's all right. Takes all sorts. No, they're not going to get back to old episodes. They're never going to hear any of this. They might hear like one thing and go, "Wow, our dads are boring."
They won't live through the great internet purge of 2025 anyway.
God. I make no plans about what's going to happen with Henry because I feel like I just don't know what's going to be relevant when he comes up. So why worry about it now? I mean, with Australia's encryption laws, we might just not be anything because that's all going through again now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, if you work for a multinational, it's your job to put backdoors in their software. Yeah, good one.
I'd go to work Australian government.
Whoever it was that made that quote that was just like, well, you don't need to use encryption unless you have something to hide.
Oh, I thought you were going to say when our Prime Minister said that the laws of Australia...
Oh, I don't listen to anything he says, so I can't quote it.
Oh, no, this was... shit, what was the middle one? That's my favourite Sean McCullough joke whenever he says our Prime Minister Scott Morrison because it could be anyone at this point.
Be, yeah.
But when it said that the laws of Australia supersede the laws of mathematics.
Oh yes, I do remember that quote.
It's like no.
It's not how any of this works.
One of my favourite counters to the if you've got nothing to hide argument is if you have nothing to hide, why are you wearing clothes?
Yeah.
Like
for warmth. And also because I'll be arrested.
Like,
in my case, the question is valid. Yeah.
But the point being is that everyone has some level of privacy that they want.
Oh, and I hide lots of shit. So it's It's like
it's such a stupid I don't do anything illegal, but I'd rather like it wasn't publicly known.
It doesn't need to be out there.
Would you be happy with the Australian government putting a camera in your shower?
Yeah.
Like, you've got nothing to hide.
Sure, why not?
Why wouldn't you let them
if
do
it
that?
makes some poor government worker somewhere happy, I'll let them do it.
But yes, the argument of nothing to hide is...
Would most people be
bunk.
happy if there was just a log of everything you ingested?
That
No,
I
I don't want to read that.
Yeah.
That I ate. I'd kind of be okay with that.
You never have you've never had a bad shame day or something?
I mean,
No,
I
have an Uber Eats receipt history. It's most of it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not very
it's not a
shamed
public
by it.
Uber
I'm
Eats.
not
Yeah.
really- But that's actually a good point because that kind of highlights the difference in what people
would find with that. Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of people would be like, "No, I don't want you to see the fast food that I've ordered over."
where
the
I
last
literally give no shits.
And some people do use apps where you can publicly
in fact,
share
I
with
would
their
actually,
friends.
I'd actually kind of like it
list their
because
food.
I could track my eating and I could go, oh, I should probably eat less of
Well,
that.
there's apps for that.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's the
I'm
thing.
lazy, and if the government was to
If
do
you
it
let
for
someone
me,
else track it for you, and then they send you an email
Yeah.
when you're doing shit.
No. They just shame you on Twitter. It's like, I see you've been eting out a lot recently, James.
They just every day they just post a public list of all the people who fucked up.
Bring back public shaming. That's good. I actually realized there was a game I'm playing that I didn't mention that's actually pretty good. Our time's like, you all right time wise? It's just hitting.
Yeah, I'll quickly throw in a little PSA because I wrote it down there.
Oh, yeah?
I discovered that if you have an iPad or an iPhone, there is a DOSBox emulator you can go grab. It's called iDOS2. It costs about $8. And the kind of cool thing is you can just sync it to a folder and play games, and it works pretty well. And it's the perfect aspect ratio on an iPad for playing DOS games because it's 4:3. So,
which is
with control support.
weird.
I was playing Keen last night, Commander Keen 1, and I remembered that it is a one-hit kill game with no checkpoints.
Yeah. Is your face questioning me saying that it's weird that iPads are still 4:3?
My face is just realizing that iPads are 4:3.
Yeah.
I actually say, as a long-time iPad user...
What?
As a long-time iPad user, I do not... I want that aspect ratio.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, no, I said it's useful,
Yeah,
but it's also a weird choice.
Because I've never noticed.
It is odd, but I think it's like... If I had a widescreen iPad...
But yeah, 1610 or a 16:9 iPad would be weird.
Because what...
Well, a tablet widescreen held this in portrait feels wrong. Like, it's not trying to be like a TV that you turn sideways. And I think that aspect ratio...
it'd be perfect for Ikaruga.
It would. I think the reason they keep that aspect ratio is it just makes more sense for portrait.
Yeah. I've just never realized for some reason.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I've always found a little bit weird that like all media on it sort of like full screens and takes and just like black bars you. It's like, let's just put it at the top and let me use the bottom. There's still plenty of real estate and stuff like that. And then when I tried to like play games on the TV using the iPad as a player, I'm like, this is all fucked up. Like, oh dear God. Anyway, so I've been playing a game called Stonefly. Now, Stonefly is by the team that brought us Creature in the Well, which is a strange... Let's call it a Zelda-like crossed with pinball. But I never liked people saying pinball in it because it wasn't very pinball-y. It was more pachinko-y. But you just were a robot that swung its arms and whacked the balls around. This is a weird game, but it has things that I like. You are a little person in a big world of bugs. And you know I like being little. Yeah. So I'm a little lady. And my dad... I'm an engineer and I work on the robots that help run in this world. One day, I need to go get some stuff for Dad, so I take the robot out, but I forgot to lock the garage. Oh no! And they come and steal the family robot. So I head out on an adventure to get back the family robot. So I get on my cricket, which is a real cricket, and I go out and start my adventure and meet up with some hooligans and then that. So it's sort of played top down, and it's interesting in that, so it's all a natural world, so you're climbing up trees and jumping from leaf to leaf and things like that, and all the like robots you're hearing are sort of bug-like anyway, so lots of legs going around and jumping up and floating stuff, and it's deliberately slow. It's like a chilled out action game. So most of the time it is just sort of navigating, and it feels nice to navigate. It's got do you remember Creature in the Well, what it looks like?
No.
So it's sort of I'd almost call it like a craft paper style. They're not trying to look like paper, but it's all the textures are sort of like, everything's sort of like a solid color, which often will just like bleed into the same color behind it, but then it has like a texture on top of it. So it's almost like a textured crepe paper sort of thing in there. So it's quite a unique style. If anything, maybe a bit close to the Shelter games, but not really. But yeah, like when you're walking around as the girl, it's like you're just walking and you're talking and it's cool. But then you're exploring, you take your time. It's very, very solid, the movement. And then when you're fighting, it is quite, it's a lot of the stuff is about pushing things off the tree. So you're not so much, killing things as you are weakening them and then getting them out of the way. And so it can be quite hectic, but it tends to be a lot of like, I'm going to jump up and hover and wait for my option to drop down and give them a push. Yeah. So it is quite methodical in it. So it is, it's like a chill action game. And I just love it because the theme is good and you can jump on your cricket. And so far the story is, it's fine. It's not like, I don't love these characters or anything, but they're all kind of wacky and, and you get different robots and the robots all have different loadouts, which actually get kind of complex, the kind of thing where it's like, okay, at first you get like a jump and a drop a bomb, and then you realize that every face button does something, and then you hold a button which is a modifier, and then they all do something else. Okay. So the first robot doesn't do very much, but you can just see like it has the control list for robots, like, oh, it's double paged, and it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm not very far in it yet, but I am excited to see what sort of weird robots I get as I continue. And as I said, The theming goes a long way with me.
Yeah.
I like little things.
You do like little things.
I do. It explains our friendship. So Stonefly, and it's got a really cool soundtrack as well. Enough that I'm mentioning it, which I almost never do. Actually, got a few cool soundtracks coming up. You know what's got a cool soundtrack?
What?
Chicory.
I think the Switch, the Garage Game Studio's out very soon.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
out soon
a
too.
couple
I
of
don't
days,
think I've
like
mentioned it on
11th.
the show yet.
It's kind
Yeah.
of cool.
It's basically the game maker from Labo, but without Labo.
Yeah.
With some more stuff.
I
And
am.
like proper guided tutorials.
Yeah.
Cute little characterized
node-based
nodes.
script editor thing. I always like those fun tools,
pretty
fun
cool.
little
Betting
tools.
time.
I like them because I've seen what people have made with like Mario Maker.
Mm.
Yeah,
and that's
which
got
is
a lot of constraints.
which is not a game. Which is not something made to make other games.
It's
People
got a
still
lot of
force it in,
constraints. So to be given something that is just, hey, make games, that
Yeah.
obviously still has constraints in the way that it's designed, but doesn't seem to have many.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what people do.
Do we see a Switch Pro at E3?
Oh, no, but I really hope so.
According to the internet, we saw it last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with no. But who knows?
I think we would only see it if we were getting it for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like we'll get it for Christmas.
Why not? Don't you believe in Jesus?
All the rumors.
I really hope we do. Like,
I would love to.
I would love a new Switch.
But I'm not sure we will.
Like, I want that screen to be a little bit bigger, and I want to have a little bit more grunt.
I definitely want it to be OLED.
Yes, I want it to be OLED, and I want that cool, crazy DLSS. which
Yeah,
looks
that's the rumor that got me excited.
Yeah, which is just
That's
magic.
the reason I don't think we're getting it this year. Because it's not like all that hardware is easily accessible right now for anyone making anything.
Nintendo's hoarded it all, and that's why
Nice.
They're just sitting on a stack of pros.
But here's the real question. Do you know what American Halloween is based on?
As in, like, the holiday?
Yes.
I don't know, some pagan something.
Nah.
No?
I mean, like, I don't know. People might take objection to this, but, you know, I listen to
All Hallows
I
Eve.
listened to one history thing which ended with it surprisingly, and now it's just fact for me. It's based on Pope Day.
Is it actually fact?
Well, as far as I can tell with that, so basically it was a day for hating the Pope, and all the kids would get dressed up, and the Irish would beat the shit out of each other.
I can believe that. That sounds very plausible.
And then they banned it, but the kids like dressing up, so they kept the
dressing up part.
Yeah, like the dressing up
Yeah.
and they go around house to house demanding. I think it was just money.
So what they've done is they've
beat
gone,
you up. Yeah, yeah.
Parts of this are okay.
Yeah, they took.
Let's give it a different
They
reason.
took those bits and put it on the like
the
because
Hallows
it's still
Eve.
obviously like your actual El Hallows Eve stuff, but the actual celebration aspects are from beating up the Pope. I love it. Like it's
brilliant.
It's cool. Like, in other exciting news, I watched Spiral. That's the new Saw movie.
Oh, how is it?
It's very bad. It's Chris Rock trying to take a serious turn, and he produced it.
Oh.
It's so weird.
Does he try?
Yeah. Oh, it's great, and it's so Saw, but it's not.
Is it continuing on from the last? Is it doing the normal Saw thing?
No, because it's sort of a spin-off, but it is still continuing the same universe. It's real dumb, and maybe the dumbest. I can't quite remember all of them.
I tried to get Cheryl to watch The Witch because I have never watched The Witch.
Cheryl cannot watch The Witch.
I looked at it and like it's an hour and a half. I've heard it's very good.
It is,
and I started watching it and I thought, no, I'm going to see if Cheryl wants to watch this.